Hey guys and girls, Bored Now back with you. On this video I'm going to be talking about Free Body Problem, episode 4. The episode is called Our Lord. Full spoilers from the start of this review. So I think this is an okay episode, but it probably is the weakest so far. And the reason for that is because there's a big event in the middle of the episode which really doesn't amount to too much. I mean, there is a reveal which is okay, that's a little surprising, but the actual point of that big scene didn't really feel like it had too much of a point, and just then it felt a bit flat to me. But I'll get to that anyway. There's some important background stuff in this episode. Overall, it's just not as strong as the other three, I don't think. So I just maybe a bit more of a filler episode, even though there is a couple of things in there. So we obviously pick up from the death of Jack, and the detectives contact Aggie and Jin, and they show them the footage of when Jack was being killed, and that he's being attacked by an invisible entity, like there's nobody there as he's being attacked, and they're told that no CCTV cameras picked up anybody, and Aggie's convinced that it's the same woman who has been appearing to her and talking to her. But they figure out then it's as a result of Jack turning down the offer to go to the summit, and Lawrence and his boss want Jin to go undercover, so to agree to go to the summit. And at first she refuses, like she doesn't want to do it. You get some grieving over Jack's death, and yeah, eventually she does agree to do it. But another thing about Jin is that she in the past lost her family when she was back living in China, and the land dried up. So that's a whole thing which links some of this stuff. But at the same time, the detectives are investigating this ship in the middle of the Atlantic, and this is one of the things in the episode where we get a little bit of background. So it opens in 1984 in London, and we see Lynn, and it's the first time her and Mike have met up for ages. So they meet up in a cafe, and it's kind of a get-together after all these years, and picking up with them, and she sees that Mike is quite a different character, than he's almost pretty much given up the activism. He now runs his father's oil company, so seems to be a very different person in many ways, has abandoned some of his principles from the past, or so it seems, whereas in some ways she is still the same person, but you can see the scars she has from the past. And yeah, she also says the Mao is now dead, it's a different China, so eventually she was able to escape. But we see the boat, or the ship, sorry, which has been mentioned and is being tracked by the detectives. So at one point Mike has Lynn flies her, sorry I can't speak tonight, flies her in to the ship, and it's this whole like setup where you've got like schools there, and you've got like children and everything, and you get reference of our Lord throughout the episode, but he shows her that they've got the tower from the past in China, and he says we can pick up the research and experiments again here. And he says we won't be interrupted, there'll be no government interference, because he shows the contact from other planets on the screen, like the text. And she says, well, she never got a message back, but he says it's happening, we've had contact, they're on their way. And that's kind of a reveal in the past. So it turns out Mike is the Jonathan Pryce character who we've been seeing here and there. Like in the present, he's playing Mike. And yeah, he plays quite a big role in this episode, because we see him talking to this other life form, this alien on the other end of this comm. So he's on the ship. And this might be the best scene of the episode, I think. But he's telling this other life form this story, the Little Red Riding Hood story, and using an analogy, and the alien is like responding in quite a confused way, like she doesn't understand the story. At one point she's talking like, where can I find these characters, like they're real? And Mike has to tell her then, no, it's just a story, it's all made up. And at first he thinks he's getting through to her and she understands it, but then things take a turn, because she says, well, that's a lie then, isn't it? It's a lie by a liar. And Mike, not realising what he's saying, says, yes, it is. And that's when things, as I said, take a turn, because she then says, I'm afraid of you, I don't trust you. And that indicates then there could be an attack by these other beings, and that this has made things worse. So it's a very good scene. Jonathan Pryce is a great actor, and we get more of him in this episode. And he's just very good because he has a real presence to him, and like he definitely has a sinister air where can we really trust this guy? But he also is able to like come across as quite human as well in those scenes, and that he's someone who's committed to this work and thinks he's doing the right thing anyway. But that probably was the standout scene of the episode. So then, as I said, Jin agrees to go undercover to the summit, because at one point Mike is telling the other life form, then we don't have any players at the summit because the Jack thing didn't work out, and we don't have anybody. And the life form doesn't seem worried, but then Jin agrees, and the detectives are like monitoring her, like they've put a bug so they can hear what's going on. So she's driven to the summit, and there's a speech by the founder of the project at the summit, and there's a little twist in there because the founder is Leah. So yeah, the mother of Vera is the founder of this project, and she does this grand speech about how it'll take 400 years, but they're on their way. And she starts talking in terms of we've got to prepare the world for them. And where this episode goes with that stuff is there's talk of humans have wasted their world and it's too late for them to do anything, but we've got to fix their mess. So it's almost like it's saying we will live on the earth and rebuild it after, and it's almost suggesting then they will maybe wipe out humans or something to that effect. And there's a lot of religious talk once again, and referring to the leader as our Lord, and it's good that we get to see more of that actress because she's really good. But things take a turn because the SWAT team come in to try and arrest people and to also get Jin out of there. And there's a whole fracas where the girl, the one who's been appearing to people and the one who killed Jack, tries to shoot Jin and shoots a bunch of people, and eventually it's Lawrence, who saves her and shoots the other girl. And it's a bit of a confusing scene because it's done in the dark a bit, but he gets Jin out of there and says, I'm going to take you to a safe place. And I just thought that scene, it didn't really amount to much because it didn't seem like they achieved much with their plan, because the information they got about it taking 400 years and a couple of the other bits didn't really feel like it was that detailed. I guess they just partly wanted to catch these people in the act, and that's why they sent Jin in, but it just didn't seem like there was enough of a reveal or enough of a big moment to justify that whole plan. But anyway, that was a whole thing. So Jin is quite badly injured, even though she survives, and she's taken away in an ambulance. And when she's in the ambulance, I think it's Will calls her, because Will's come out of hospital. And there's actually quite a nice scene where Will is going through Jack's things and he actually picks up a Sabutio, like a Man City Sabutio. So that's a football toy, little figure you can play it with on like a pretend pitch. So just to say, if you don't know, you move it with your hand, like very old school kind of toys. But that's quite a nice scene. And he calls Jin later, and it's quite a sweet scene. She still doesn't know about his cancer, or at least I don't think she does, and he doesn't know exactly what's going on. And he says, well, why don't we go away somewhere? As a group, he's not just saying those two, but as a group. And she says that would be nice. It's interesting because he says, why don't you bring Raj as well? And she's like, why don't we just make it the old gang? But then she starts telling him a story. Like she says, I need to fill you in on a few things. And it's about what's been happening, and it actually dates back to before we were even born. And so she starts telling him a story, and that's when it goes back to the ship back in the 80s. But we don't get the end of the story quite yet, so that's going to be something that continues next time, I'm guessing. But it does seem like that's setting us up for another big reveal in the next episode, I would guess. But anyway, the only other thing is then the founder is arrested and they start to question her, and she says, I'm only here because they allowed it, like this was part of their plan. So indicating that the others are in control and that they've got plans and that they're coming and you better watch out almost. But it's quite a good speech anyway. And yeah, that's episode 4. Like I said, not a bad episode. I just feel it was a bit underwhelming at times compared to some. But Jonathan Pryce, definitely the MVP of the episode. So yeah, episode 4. Let me know your thoughts. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media. And I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.